Hi, folks. This is the second of two screencasts for your language arts research project on social media and teen mental health. Make sure that you've watched the first screencast, library research and databases, before you watch this one, because you're going to want to exhaust all of the resources that I've talked about in that screencast before you come over and do this one. So in this screencast, we're talking about what happens if you cannot find the information that you need in those library databases. You may have to go out and do your search in a browser. So for example, you may have to Google the topic that you're looking for. Now remember, the reason why we always say to start with the library databases is because you don't have to judge any of the quality of that information. Everything that you find through the library databases, you already know is relevant, credible, current, and reliable. Once you leave the databases and go to Google, for example, for search, you don't necessarily know if any of those criteria are met. And so even though it's in many cases easier to just simply type your search term into the Google browser, you have to spend a lot more time with each one of those results, judging relevancy, credibility, currency, and reliability. Okay, so use the library databases first. Then if you absolutely still need some information, you can come over to Google and do your search. So I'm going to leave the library website and open a new tab. And I'm going to type my search term into Google. And so I'm going to be as specific as possible. And you can see that I've already been practicing. So I have social media and teen mental health. That's what I would type in for my search. And I now have, as before when we were looking at 30 results and we were looking at 15 results, now I've got over 67 million results that I have to go through. Okay, so right off the bat, too many results. Okay. Now, it's not necessarily true that the first article is the best, but let's start with the first one and see what it looks like for us. Now, this is mayoclinic.org. Sometimes you have to know a little bit about your topic to even be able to know if the website that you're potentially going to use is a credible website or not. In this case, I know that the Mayo Clinic does have quality information, so this would be something that's okay to use. We tend to stay away from the .com websites because those are commercial websites who are designed primarily to need to make money in order to keep the website going. .net also not as reliable as our .org websites. Okay. If I were to find something that would be, here's one, .edu. So a lot of the universities have departments that study specific topics. And so this one would study, this is an online master of public health. So that looks like something that would be of interest to us, and that would be a reliable source for us. Okay. Here's a medical journal. We can maybe try that one. Okay. But otherwise, I'm probably skipping over as many articles because I don't think their sources are reliable as I am going to click on them. So if you've got a question about whether a source is reliable or not, that's where Mr. Richards and I come in. So you should feel free, do your search, find your articles, find what you think is relevant and reliable, and then ask us the question, is this source something that I can use in my report or not? Okay. Let's go back up to the top to this Mayo Clinic article. Oh, actually, before we even do that, look at the very first thing that we got. We have scholarly articles for social media and teen mental health. Now, this is Google Scholar. This is a different branch of the Google browser. It pulls things from academic journals. So anything that you find in Google Scholar is going to be an excellent source. The problem is they're generally a little bit harder to understand than what you're going to get from other articles. So we can click through to Google Scholar. So see, it's taken us up here to scholar.google.com, right up here. Okay. I can sort by date, so I can get something that's very current this way. And I can just start looking. Look at this. Here's a PDF, teens and social media. That might be helpful to you. Okay. And this is telling you where they're coming from. Now, the other thing that sometimes happens with Google Scholar articles is that you can get the abstract. You can get just the summary of the article, but you can't necessarily read the entire article because a lot of those articles are behind paywalls. So academic journals are famous for wanting you to pay really steep prices in order to be able to access the research that people publish there. Okay, so you're going to be able to get the summary of a lot of these articles, but you're not going to be able to get the entire article itself. And so that may not be as helpful to you. The summaries give a good overview, but they don't really give any details. You're probably not going to find answers to any of your questions there. Okay, but try, if you get hits through Google Scholar, definitely try to click through on some of them and see what kind of information that you can get. If you're having a hard time understanding it or knowing what the vocabulary means, leave that and go back to our regular Google site. So I'm going to hit the back button. I can go to this Mayo Clinic site. All right, this looks like a great article. Teens and social media use. What's the impact? It sounds exactly like what we are looking for, social media harms. Okay, so this is great. This is something that I would then start to take notes on. I would see where this information fits in addressing one of those main questions that I've got in my art chart. Okay, and then I can add it there. Now, the other thing that you'll notice here is that I'm looking for it, but I'm not seeing any citation information. Right? This is an article published on the web, but it's not giving me any citation information. So another problem with leaving the databases and doing your search through a browser is that you often are going to have to generate that citation information for yourself. Okay. Now I can help you with that. So we're still here in this tab with our article. I'm going back to the library page for just 1 minute, and I'm scrolling way down to the bottom. So I'm going past the books, past the databases, which is where you would have started all of this research, past copyright. To the very bottom, citing sources is easy with EasyBib. So for the databases, you just copy and paste. You click on the cite button, you copy and paste those 2 or 3 lines. For articles on the web, you have to generate your own citation. So I can either add this EasyBib extension to my Chromebook, or I've got a link to the website right here, to the EasyBib website. So it's going to take us a couple of minutes to get a citation generated for this article. I'm going to create a citation here. This is basically, you just follow step by step through what it takes you through. Understand also that you kind of have to search for the information because there are lots of ads on this site. What's our source? We were on a website. And then as it loads, it's going to ask you for the URL. So I'm going back to my tab with my article. I'm going up here to the URL bar, and I'm going to copy the URL back to EasyBib. I'm going to paste that in, and then I'm going to search. And now EasyBib is going to send out its spiders to see if it can pull information from that Mayo Clinic website, and it's searching for your source. It says, is this the article that you are looking at? Yes, it is. So we're going to cite that article. Now, sometimes EasyBib can't find all of the information. It may not be able to find where the publisher is, who the publisher is, for example, or what year it was published. Oh, look at this. They don't know who the publisher is. So they want you to go to the article and they want you to find that information yourself. Okay, so as we click through and we continue, it's going to ask us, oh, I don't think it loaded yet. We're just waiting for it to come up here. All right, and let's see where it wants us to put that information. Okay, it's got all of this information here. We're seeing where it asks for the publisher. Oh, it did end up finding it, so it's got it in here already for us. It doesn't have an author, so if you can go back to that article and look through to see who wrote it, if there is an author. Sometimes on websites there is no individual author. And then we've got all the information added in there that you can. You complete the citation. It really wants you to put the author, but if you don't have it, you can just click through to ask it to complete the citation again. And now we're just waiting for the citation to come up. In EasyBib, it only gives you MLA citations. You have to pay for any other format. So lucky for us, that's what we're using. Here is your citation. You can copy it and then go ahead and paste it right into your iChart. You don't want to forget this step because you definitely don't want to go back at the end and have to do all of this citation generation yourself. Okay, so once you get that, then you can go through and you've got your information summarized, you've got your notes taken from that article, then you can go back to that list of 67 million results and see if you can find something else that's relevant for yourself. Okay, so remember, Mr. Richards and I are here to help you. So don't get lost in everything that is Google when you do your searches. We're here to help you to decide if you have a reliable source or not. And if you get stuck and need help with the citations, we're here to answer all of those kinds of questions for you. We want you to absolutely be a success and to do a great job on this. So please don't hesitate to ask us once you have questions. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.